Today, we're going to talk about a movie that features sea monsters living underwater. These monsters have a special power that allows them to transform into humans. The film begins in 1959, where two fishermen are out at sea. Through their conversation, we learn that they are discussing sea monsters. It's said that many sea monsters have been found in this area, but the fishermen believe these stories are just myths and fantasies. Suddenly, a sea monster starts stealing things from their ship. Later, both fishermen try to catch the monster, but it escapes. Now, we see a sea monster named Luca underwater. Luca is playing with its pet fish when it suddenly notices some fallen objects. These objects belong to humans. When Luca looks up, it sees a ship and quickly swims back to its home. It's clear that Luca is not dangerous at all. In fact, Luca is just as scared of humans as they are of it. Luca lives underwater with its parents, who warn it that humans are dangerous and that it should keep a distance from them. However, Luca dreams of exploring the world outside the water. One day, Luca meets a new sea monster named Alberto. Alberto enjoys collecting things that have fallen into the water from humans. Luca follows Alberto and sees that Alberto has gone out of the water. Luca hesitates for a moment, but then Alberto pulls Luca out of the water. This is Luca's first experience outside the water, and it's revealed that sea monsters turn into human-like forms when they come out of the water. Luca suddenly remembers its parents' advice to stay away from humans. Luca quickly returns to the water. That night, Luca can't sleep because of the new experience. The next day, Luca goes to the edge of the water but doesn't have the courage to step out. Alberto returns with the things he's collected and pulls Luca out of the water again. As Luca dries off, he transforms into a human. Alberto then shows Luca his house outside the water, where Luca sees many different things. Alberto used to bring all the fallen things from underwater to his house. He lived with his father. Now, Luca started to think that the most beautiful things in the world were outside the water. Luca and Alberto became close friends, and Alberto even taught Luca how to walk. One day, Luca noticed a poster in Alberto's house with a Vespa bike on it. Alberto then explained to him what it was. Alberto tells Luca that the Vespa is the best of all human-made things, and that it can be used to travel the whole world. Luca suggests that they try to build a Vespa using the things in Alberto's house. The two of them get involved in this new experiment, trying to make a bike. They do their best, but they aren't successful. However, they both promise that one day they will ride a real Vespa. Meanwhile, Luca's parents discover that Luca has been leaving the water every day. They then tell Luca that he must go to the deep sea with his uncle. Feeling sad, Luca shares the whole story with Alberto. In response, Alberto suggests that Luca should run away, and he even comes up with a plan for them. Alberto suggests that they move to a nearby city where Luca's parents won't be able to find him, and they can explore the world with a new Vespa. Luca can't refuse this idea, so they both leave for the city. Once there, they encounter a man named Ercole, who also has a Vespa. Luca and Alberto are excited to see it. They learn that this city holds an annual championship where the winner gets a lot of money. Ercole has won this championship for many years and used the prize money to buy his Vespa. Ercole mocks Luca and Alberto when he sees their excitement. Just then, a girl named Julia arrives and takes them away from Ercole. Julia explains that the championship has 3 events: bicycling, swimming, and pasta eating. Julia also mentions that she has been trying to win the championship for many years. Luca and Alberto realize that winning the championship is their chance to get the Vespa. They ask Julia if they can team up with her to win the championship. Julia agrees after considering it, as she also wants to win. They decide that Luca will compete in the bicycling event, Alberto in the pasta eating event, and Julia in the swimming event. They know that they can't get wet, or they will turn back into sea monsters. Julia then arranges a meeting with her father, who is a fisherman and has been one-handed since childhood. She explains the entire plan to her father. Julia knows that her father doesn't have enough money to pay the entry fee for the championship. So, Alberto and Luca help with fishing, using their knowledge of the sea to catch a lot of fish. They make enough money to pay the entry fee. When they arrive at the championship, they face Ercole, who mocks their team and vows to defeat them. Meanwhile, Luca's parents arrive in the city, searching for him and checking each kid who falls into the water. Julia is preparing Alberto for the pasta eating competition and Luca for the bicycling competition. They also teach Luca how to swim while they are in a boat. Ercole arrives, but their secret almost gets exposed. They return home. Luca hears his mother's voice. He checks and sees that his parents have arrived in the city, while searching for him. Meanwhile, Luca and Giulia have become close friends. Giulia shows Luca her books and talks about her school life. Alberto starts feeling jealous because Luca spends more time with Giulia and talks about her all the time. They focus on practicing for the championship, with Giulia's father helping them. One day, while Alberto is out practicing bicycling with Giulia and Luca, he sees Luca's mother, who recognizes Luca. Luca runs away after riding the bicycle. One day, Luca asks Giulia if he can join her school. Hearing this, Alberto gets very angry and they start arguing. Alberto reminds Luca of their plan to get the Vespa so they can travel the world. Giulia steps in to make peace between them, but Alberto is still not calm. Alberto transforms into his sea monster form and asks Giulia if her school would admit a sea monster. Giulia becomes anxious. Luca pretends not to know about Alberto being a sea monster and acts like he's unaware of the secret. Meanwhile, Ercole arrives with some people and chases Alberto away. When Giulia and Luca return home, Luca behaves strangely, not making sense. Giulia throws water on him, causing him to transform back into a sea monster. Giulia realizes that Luca has hidden the secret from her and is also a sea monster. She warns Luca that there is a reward for sea monsters in the city and that he should leave. Luca explains to Giulia that his parents wanted him to stay away from humans. Feeling dejected, Luca leaves after saying this. Luca goes to Alberto's house and notices some lines drawn on the wall. When Luca asks about them, Alberto explains that he has been drawing these lines since his father left him. Alberto feels that he is to blame for his father's departure. Luca reminds Alberto that their dream was to get the Vespa and that they need to keep fighting for it. Alberto then tells Luca to leave. Determined, Luca decides to compete in the championship on his own. The championship starts the next day. The first event is swimming. Luca appears wearing a metal suit to stay dry. Giulia warns him that the championship organizers have sent people to capture sea monsters. Luca doesn't believe this, and the swimming competition ends. Next is the pasta eating competition. Everyone starts eating pasta right away. Giulia wins the pasta eating competition and quickly heads to the bicycling event. Ercole also goes after her. After finishing his pasta, Luca heads to the cycling competition, but his parents arrive and try to stop him. Luca ignores them and continues, determined to complete the race. Luca rides the bicycle at full speed, passing both Giulia and Ercole. It starts to rain, and Luca stops under a shelter, fearing he might get wet. He then notices Alberto approaching with an umbrella, standing a short distance away. Ercole pushes Alberto when he arrives, and Alberto's true sea monster form is revealed because of the rain. Ercole captures Alberto by throwing a net over him. Luca, coming to Alberto on his bicycle, quickly helps him escape before Ercole can catch him. They both realize that they are sea monsters. Ercole then chases them, holding a spear. Ercole wants to kill Luca and Alberto after capturing them. They are racing through the city when Ercole catches up. Giulia damages Ercole's bicycle and reaches them before Ercole can attack. Giulia falls while trying to push Ercole away, but Luca and Alberto help her up. A group of fishermen and other people gather to catch the sea monsters. At that moment, Giulia's father arrives and announces that Luca and Alberto are his friends and that they have won the championship. Ercole asks his friends for help, but they don't come. Giulia is excited to hear this. A new person wins the championship, and Ercole is defeated. The citizens who are sea monsters reveal their true forms. Gradually, everyone accepts the sea monsters, and they are welcomed in the city. Luca and Alberto use their prize money to buy an old Vespa. They repair it so they can finally fulfill their dream of traveling the world. Giulia's father is taking Giulia to school, and Luca and Alberto come to say goodbye. Luca feels a bit sad. As Giulia gets on the train, Alberto gives Luca a new ticket, saying it's for him. Alberto explains that he sold the Vespa so Luca could go to school. Luca's parents arrive with his bag and allow him to go to school. Luca invites Alberto to come with them, but Alberto decides to stay behind with Giulia's father to help him. The movie ends with Luca and Alberto happy on the train, as Luca's dream of going to school is coming true. Train moves. It starts to rain, and Luca and Alberto transform back into sea monsters. I hope you like the video. Thanks for watching.